Our real mandate was aligning with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So, housing, water, education, right? Like, what are ways that Bitcoin can make an impact in that? And because New Story was such an innovative, organization, I felt like that really aligned with what we were looking for in a partner. And the key piece of this entire project was, what does the scenario look like without Bitcoin? Right? That was like one of our key questions when we asked this. So not only is this an innovative project? Is this project, if successful, going to make an impact at a huge scale, which I think it absolutely is. But the final piece is, what is Bitcoin's role in making this successful, and what does it look like without it?
Extra excited today because we're going to talk about something that is really close to my heart, is how Bitcoin actually impacts the lives of those who've been really neglected by the traditional finance system. So I'm super excited to have both Renato from New Story, but also Amir and Darin from CoinBase Giving. We feel very privileged. You guys have graced us with your privilege, or with your with your presence. See, I'm just starstruck that we have you guys here.
I'm flattered.
But I am going to have to set the ground rules since we have Coinbase in the house. We're having an imaginary swear jar in the middle. So every time you say crypto today, you're going to have to send some sats into that.
I brought some cash. So.
Lightning.
So how's your week been so far?
That's an amazing question. I feel like it's been phenomenal so far. This is my first time in El Salvador, and I'm absolutely blown away at how remarkable the Bitcoin community has been here. It's been everything that I was hoping for and more. And I felt like we've gotten a chance to get to know the community, get a chance to see how Bitcoin has made a direct impact, and then also build some lifelong friendships. So I'm hoping that this is a model for the rest of the world. So far, been an amazing week. And obviously, this is a very momentous week with the second anniversary of National Bitcoin Day. So lucky to be here at this time.
Good timing for you to come.
Great timing. Amir, how do you feel?
Yeah, no, definitely echo what Darin's saying. And also,
well, this isn't your first time here.
Yeah,
either. I was kind of
right.
surprised to hear that.
Yeah, my wife's Salvadorian. We've got 3 kids, and this is my 5th time in El Salvador. And for some reason, I've always missed the whole Bitcoin scene. So this was the first trip with New Story, Renato, and the rest of the community having a chance to meet folks. And that was, and it's right under my nose. We were passing by these places, we're vacationing around the area. And so it was very inspiring.
So Renato here on my right is somebody I've considered friend for a number of years. And he started working for a New Story. What was that? A year ago, 2 years ago? How long have you been
almost
there?
2 years. Almost
Okay.
2 years, yeah.
So tell the audience a little bit about what New Story does and why we're sitting here in this room today.
Okay. Well, third, thank you for the invitation here. I'm gonna, yeah.
And before New Story, just to set the right, so you were with Strike for a while before.
Yes.
You were part of the initial rollout of Strike here in El Salvador. And then you jumped over to New Story as you saw these opportunities come up.
Yes. So I was part of the Strike team at the beginning before the Bitcoin law. And then one thing led to another when the Bitcoin law came, all the noise that brought to the country and the whole world. I transitioned to New Story. What is New Story about? We build homes for low-income families. But more than homes, we are developing a new market for more inclusive opportunities for people, for low-income families. So that's what we do right now.
There's interesting backstory on that with New Story. I had actually reached out to them, I think about 3 years ago. There was an article, they were pioneering basically printing homes out of
3D,
cement.
3D printing.
3D printing. And one of the people that was involved with Bitcoin Beach and had helped with some of the projects we were doing said, hey, this would be awesome for you guys to do, reach out to this company. So I reached out to New Story. They were fantastic and they were trying to help, but they're like, we're not doing any of the 3D printing in El Salvador. We're happy to, help with general knowledge of building housing communities, because that was something that was important to us to make sure as this development was happening here in El Salvador, as investment was pouring in, that the people who live here are not pushed to the edges, that they're actually included in this development. So from the beginning, we wanted to make that a part of it. And as we looked deeper into it, we just realized, this is something much bigger than we can take on. We're not really a housing focused NGO. And so we kind of put it on the shelf. And then about a year or two later, the guys from New Story reached out once they passed the Bitcoin law here and said, hey, we want to come down and meet with you guys and talk about doing a project in El Salvador. So it was great how it kind of came around for full circle from there.
Yeah. I was going to say, I've been really impressed how New Story actually doesn't, move out the residents. They look for ideal land where those folks have been living. It's not far from, sometimes it's just adjacent lot to where their location has been. So I thought that was really great to see. And the fact that these residents can continue their communities without having to eventually leave where they've called home for the past 20, 30 years that's been really interesting, having a chance to actually go see those sites.
Which makes a big difference, because some people think, oh, we'll just move them over there, but you're uprooting them from, most people don't have cars, life revolves around everything on foot.
Yeah, it's part of the process that we have. The people don't have to move far away from their places. They have to have the schools, their jobs, all what they do. It has to be at least 2.5 kilometers around. So,
and I think New Story was the first nonprofit to go through Y Combinator. Is that?
Yes,
is that
it was
right?
the first one.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So they're very focused on measurables and being able to innovate in things, not just doing things the way they've always been done, but really thinking through, okay, how can we do this efficiently, cost effectively, and something that's scalable so they can really solve the global housing problem.
Yes, actually we have three ways of working. We have innovation, which means that we are working on new materials or the new way of constructions that will be a better quality for homes and a lower cost, so families can afford that. So it's a win-win situation. Also, we are working to connect the partners, the financial institutions, developing new financial products that can be affordable also for families. So that's how we connect the financial system to the families. And also we are investing in new and improved like the 3D printing homes to upscale those alternatives for the families. That's what we like.
So tell us what, a little bit background on you guys. You can start, Darin, and just how you came in contact with Renato and how you guys came to be involved, and just share with the community the great things that Coinbase is doing in that space.
Yeah, of course. When I was on the Giving team, we were really impressed with the innovative mindset of New Story. Our real mandate was aligning with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So housing, water, education, right? What are ways that Bitcoin can make an impact in that? And because New Story was such an innovative, organization, I felt like that really aligned with what we were looking for in a partner, especially for a grant at this size. Another thing that we thought of was
is that
scale.
The biggest grant that you guys have done?
I would say, yeah. This is our biggest grant, and probably one of the ones we're probably most proud of, in a sense. That now we
I don't know if you're comfortable sharing the numbers. I don't know if that's public, but
we'll get into the details.
It's sizable.
A lot of satoshis. A lot of satoshis. Right?
Good answer.
And Darin was actually leading the charge from the whole campaign. He was the primary owner of getting Coinbase to help out.
You were the champion.
I was a champion. I was definitely one of the champions internally. And we had a few other champions internally as well who were already familiar with Bitcoin Beach. So it was already really well understood. But a lot of people didn't understand how a housing organization might connect to this grant that we're making. And the key piece of this entire project was, what does the scenario look like without Bitcoin, right? That was like one of our key questions when we asked this. So not only is this an innovative project, is this project, if successful, going to make an impact at a huge scale, which I think it absolutely is. But the final piece is, what is Bitcoin's role in making this successful, and what does it look like without it? And when we talked with Renato and team and understood more about how it works here in El Salvador, like the alternative just is really a lot of friction for families. And we can see that Bitcoin is actually a really useful solution. Over time, they're building an on-chain history of payment. That's a foundation for a credit score. The alleviation of the time and energy and cost that it takes to actually go to a bank. And that's assuming that someone is banked. And we think that—
Which most of them aren't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. So I think this was over a year in the making since we've initiated the grants. And this week we've had the opportunity to see well over 100 homes in different communities that have either been constructed or fully built, and families are in it. And it's amazing to see that Bitcoin is like the key ingredient that has changed the game for this. So I've been at CoinBase for 4 years. I feel like in year 4, like this is, amazing to see. And I hope more and more of this for future years.
And you were mentioning something that Coinbase has a pledge to give 1% of revenue or asset, or what exactly is that pledge?
Yeah, it's so the pledge itself is something that a number of other companies have adopted. So this is nothing, it's not a model that we've essentially pioneered. It's a model that we've followed. It's called the 1-1-1 model. Previously I was at Salesforce, and I'm glad to see that Coinbase has adopted it. But in simple terms, 1% of time, equity, and profits go towards these types of projects. So there's time aspect. There's obviously the funding that we were able to contribute as far as a grant. And we really do look for a combination of like technical partners who understand the problem that needs to be solved, as well as partners who understand how Bitcoin fits into the equation. And with that type of partnership model, we've been able to see a lot of success out of our our overall portfolio of partners. But this is one that really touches families at like the foundation of their needs. And I think what I'm excited about is the fact that it has these second and third order effects. First is the stable housing piece, and next thing you know, you have families that are able to go out there and explore their interests, or you have economies that sprout off of this, all denominated in Bitcoin. So it has these really powerful ripple effects. And being from the States, we probably take for granted how stable and secure and adequate housing has provided us the foundation to stand on and go do all these amazing things in the world.
Well, I think we take that for granted. We also take for granted just making payments in an easy way, which people that aren't not banked, they can spend days of their life standing in line, taking buses, risks of being robbed, all to just try to make a simple payment, something that, in the US is very easy. And so I think a lot of times in the US, people miss just how revolutionary a network like Bitcoin is, that is decentralized, that everybody can participate in, everybody's on equal footing, and everybody can use. And so I love that you were saying that you want projects where it actually, Bitcoin is integral to it. Because sometimes people are like, oh, we have this project and let's
nice to have.
Let's tack Bitcoin on because it kind of sounds cool. But this is, core to that.
Absolutely.
And, the key. And I don't know if you know this, but this isn't the first thing in El Salvador that Coinbase has helped out with. They actually helped with the lifeguard program that we founded here in El Salvador. And so that was actually started in Bitcoin Beach. Prior to that, they had no national lifeguard force, and there would be several hundred people that would drown every year. And so that was one of the initiatives at Hope House using Bitcoin, was to train the first, was it 80 lifeguards that they did?
Yes.
The first? So 80 lifeguards, and then we were paying them in Bitcoin to patrol all the beaches in this region. And part of the funds came from funding from Coinbase. And then
No new story funds.
story. That was coming from
different.
Yeah, I know you guys are just housing.
Yeah.
But
we
That's
share the
clear,
wealth,
that's
right?
clear.
Like, we're happy to help everywhere.
but that the government like saw how successful that was and how many lives were being saved, and they actually took the initiative to roll out a nationwide lifeguard force. And so literally hundreds of people lives are being saved every year. Like there's people alive right now that wouldn't be because of that, because of your guys' help. So
I'm so appreciative for that story. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, those secondary effects make a lot of sense, and especially when it's just these underbanked communities, right? We in the States think of Bitcoin oftentimes as an investment, especially if you're not really deep into Bitcoin and crypto. And so having that be accessible to someone that doesn't even have a bank account or has difficulty being able to get any type of banking services, and just putting everyone on equal footing, I think really just speaks to the utility of it. Yeah.
So Renato, we'll pull a video up here in a second, but tell us about the housing program that New Story is doing here in El Zonte that CoinBase has provided the funds to fund. Give us how many homes in the initial stage and some of the details.
I'm gonna give a little overview before that.
Sure.
New Story has their headquarters are in Atlanta, USA, and we have operations in Haiti. We have projects in Haiti, Bolivia, Mexico, and here in El Salvador. Here in El Salvador, we have almost 1,000 homes built now. And the model that we work with is the families have to pay a micro mortgage. And this is and because we don't want to just give the homes, because people is used to just receive, but they don't take any responsibility, and they just don't care actually, what they
if you don't pay for something, you don't appreciate it.
Exactly. And this is a mindset changing when you are able to pay and to own, and so you get responsibility about it. So that's why we use that model here also. And yes, in El Zonte, we're building 125 homes, which means we are impacting around 500 lives with this. So yes, families are being trained to pay their homes using Bitcoin. And right now we are looking at the project right there, 125 families. This is on the other side of the main road of El Zonte. And yes, those trainings are 25 people. And we've been training like 120 something right now, almost 125. Sorry.
And actually, I don't think it's in this video, Renato, but you guys do also require the recipients to also help participate in the building process. So there's a sense of community.
It's part of the project to be part of the construction, so they can see the materials, they can know where the pipes are going, where the wires are going, and also this helps to build that community. Because if I'm gonna be neighbor with Mike, but I don't know him, and there's gonna be some social issues, like Mike is gonna be listening rancheras, 5 in the morning, and I'm gonna be listening, the coritos, at the next time. So this helps to lower that friction. So that's the intention also. The families are helping in the construction process. And yes, we are doing the training in Hub House.
Just before we jump into that, so for people who haven't been to El Salvador, El Zonte, or even if you've been here but haven't been to the other side of the road where most people live, a big majority, I'd say probably close to half the people in El Zonte live in very precarious housing. A lot of times squatting on either in the riverbeds or kind of abandoned lots, but with just kind of lamina and makeshift shacks. And so it's a huge blessing to see them actually being provided with stable housing. They will take title to this. They can start building equity. And specifically at a time where there's so much interest in El Salvador and El Zonte, making sure that they are stakeholders in this community are benefiting from the growth.
Yes, and it's not just a safe roof, right? Because this also helps with the health of the families, because they are used to live with on a dirt floor. So now they avoid those stomachal issues, breathing diseases, and all that stuff. And now kids have their specific space to do their homework, so they are willing to do more. So if now their kids, their children are seeing their parents following this model, now they want to achieve more. So that's the mindset that we are looking for.
And they have a sense of permanence where if you're just in a makeshift shack, it's like, well, maybe we'll try to leave and go to the US, we'll try to do something else. But now they're like, no, we're going to stay here and build a life for ourselves and make sure our kids are going to school. And so you see it has all these secondary and tertiary impacts on the families.
Yes, correct.
And we talked to this one family, not in this development, but another one that New Store was building. And the lady that we're talking to was paying more in a communal renting facility where her whole family was in one room. Then they're paying now for a 3-bedroom home that New Story built, and so the value proposition is pretty amazing too. Where even just rental conditions, maybe not the sheet metal situation, but it was probably some type of infrastructure. But she had said was maybe 1 bathroom for 7 or 9 families.
Which is very common.
Which is very common, right?
Yes.
And this is even lower monthly. It's going towards ownership, and so she did that for 30 years. You can imagine where she could have been, and now they've got a home, and they're thriving. So it's great to see that.
You find a lot of stories like flushing a toilet. Yep. Some families, they don't even have a toilet, right, in the house. They have to walk a few meters outside their homes to go to the bathroom, right? And when we do this LPD, we call it, it's like we gather the families and ask them like how they will like their homes, so because they're part of the design also. So now we have some learnings on that section, on that area, because we know that yes, they might, because they don't understand how a toilet works. So we want the bathroom outside, but we have to teach them how.
There's
some occasions, some occasions that we have to teach them how to use a bathroom, right? The toilet, for instance, and the kitchen, because they are used to use wood, and so we want the kitchen outside also. But you can have a small stuff, right? So that's
placement
all.
of the window, right?
Yes.
Placement of the window matters a lot, and you'll also see the community evolve over time after people start to move in. So the story that you were explaining earlier, Amir, where after 30 years, she had been living in this one particular situation. She thankfully gets an opportunity to live in adequate housing at New Story, and she's housing multiple generations. So it's her daughter, and then her daughter's children as well. And then after you take out the worry of adequate housing from the equation for her, now she's like a full-time entrepreneur. And she says, I have my sewing machine over here. She's made up to 150 t-shirts in a single day. Her home is actually turned into a shop. And now she actually is like a staple in the community, and she's helping provide food and services to the rest of the community. And it's really beautiful to see how they have the opportunity to like actualize their talents after just taking the question of adequate housing off the table.
Yes, adequate housing triggers, all that.
Mm-hmm.
What, just for reference for the viewers, what would be an average mortgage amount in dollar terms that they would be paying?
Depends on the area. It could be from $30 to $60.
Yeah.
So families are just paying a fraction of the materials, because we also work together with the government, with the Ministry of Housing. So they help us to get the land, to do some permits and that stuff. So,
and these are houses that if they had to just buy them directly, from like a developer, they would be, to maybe to Americans, they would seem cheap, but to them, the mortgage might be like $300 a month instead of $50 a month. And for somebody who's only making $400 a month, that would be inaccessible. Or now it's something that they can actually strive for and build equity in and be successful.
Yes, they're not paying any interest, not fees and nothing. There's just a fraction of the materials.
Yeah, that's right. When I heard it was a 0% interest, I thought that was great. I think New Story does a really good job finding the right partners and being scrappy, working with, again, government to get donated land so those costs are brought down. And I'm also really excited to see how the El Zonte development goes, because there's a lot of potential interest in the other developments to expand the crypto payment method for those mortgages.
How many sats? How many sats?
Bitcoin
was that? How many sats? Like
10,000 sats.
10,000 sats.
10,000 sats, 1,000 or 10,000?
100,000. It goes up. It goes. It goes up exponentially.
We need a big jar here. We need a big jar.
That was
letter.
I am somewhat impressed how fast you guys caught that. I don't think I finished the word.
We are here on the beach.
Yeah.
But adopting Bitcoin as a payment method, and so that's also exciting because we think the value proposition extends beyond obviously the community that we're partnered with, and more so for just the daily challenges of getting basic services.
So flip to the next photo there, so we can kind of show the training and so I love that you guys have integrated the K1 ATM in that. That's actually
thank you for the picture. Let me talk a little bit. We work together also with Bitrefill. Bitrefill is our payment platform where people can pay their homes. They also are learning how to create an email account first. We are helping them. That's digital transformation for them, right? Mm-hmm. And with Bitrefill, they donated that K1 ATM. And what is the big thing about it is the first, and I like to say this, I'm proud of it, this ATM is the first one in the world that you can use coins and bills. And this is the right product for our people.
Yeah.
Right.
So they can buy 25 cents and sats. It's I love that.
Huge. So you can, you said you had cash for that word that you were saying, so we can use that.
I need my coins, and I know in El Salvador, I mean, coins they use them so much, right? If you ever paid $10 for something, you're likely going to get many more coins back.
Well, you know what happened was they tried to roll out those dollar coins in the U.S. and people refused to use them. So they thought, well, what are we going to do with all these coins? Let's dump them on El Salvador. So I think all the dollar coins that were minted are now.
So they're all about to go into this K1 machine and be converted to
which is actually
Bitcoin.
Good because in the climate here, they hold up better than the dollar bills used to be pretty ratty. So
that's true. That gets
I actually like them now. It took me a little while to get used to, but now I like using the coins.
So you're either cash or coin?
Just coin is nice because you can, if it's they can pop it right in there. It makes it a lot easier to have these machines.
Absolutely.
I know they have some that have that have the bill acceptors, but they have a cheaper version that's just the coin one. And so it's nice that they can use both of those here.
Yeah. And this is huge because I think it's so important to meet the community where they're at. I think, obviously, the more you can hide the wires, the easier it is for people to actually use Bitcoin. And this is one of the many innovations along with Lightning and so on and so forth that have made Bitcoin really, really easy to use here in El Salvador.
Yes, and I was saying this to Darin and Amir that we are used to use vending machines, right? Put coins and get a Coke or whatever. And maybe, it's not in the video, but there's this lady that started to put some coins and it was like, it's gone, my money is gone. And then she had it on her cell phone and it was like, open mic, how do you say this? Eye-opener for them. It's like, wow, it's a mind-blowing thing for me.
You can see it really click for them.
Yes.
We might have a video.
And just utility in Bitcoin's been a big focus for us in general at CoinBase, is just trying to drive that utility, look for other use cases, look for the value in the communities, and again, really take it away from just a investment asset class to something that is day-to-day, that is used for the basics, for supporting their families, and for, of course, investment. But that was really exciting to see those families use the K1 ATM.
Well, because that's what people say a lot, like, oh, it's just a store of value. It can't really be used. It's not useful. It's like, no, these families are using it. And I love the housing component because it helps drive, what we're attempting here is the circular Bitcoin economy, because now they're like, yeah, no, I'd rather get paid some of my salary in Bitcoin so I can pay my mortgage, or the ones that are being paid in cash can use the ATMs, or they can buy from other people in the community. So it just helps it circulate. And they see like, wow, this is so much easier than, maybe at first they're a little like,
but
then they realize like, oh, wow, I don't have to like get on the bus and go to the bank, and I have a record here. If somebody says I didn't pay, it's right here.
It's
So,
And because it's in El Zonte, I think it's a good example where it's top down and bottoms up. So you have restaurant owners, store owners that maybe incentivize via tourism, and then you have the folks that are likely working and helping support those businesses also now having that awareness of Bitcoin
and wanting to be paid in Bitcoin so they can pay
so
their
you're
mortgage.
kind of closing that loop from that bottoms up as well. So it's really exciting, this development in particular in El Zonte, to see how that has a connecting effect to both the economy and then the working class.
No, it's for me, this is like a dream come true to see this component of it, because it's the housing issue. It's such a big issue, and it's not like a cheap issue to solve. It's not like, okay, we're going to come in and help feed a community for a week. To provide housing takes resources and long-term commitment. So to see New Story be able to team up with Coinbase and have it happen in a way that supports exactly what we're trying to see happen here, build a financial system that's fair for everybody. I love it.
It's huge. And if you can prove the model, then like the parallels to other places, let's say South Africa or other Latin American countries, are there, and you can see how other people might want to adopt or fork their own version of what you're building in Bitcoin Beach or what you're doing with New Story, what we're doing here, as kind of like a consortium.
Yeah. Well, I remember talking to Brett, who was one of the founders of New Story, and him just explaining how big of a logistical issue it was for them to have this model where people actually pay. And he was explaining how important it is that they're actually paying something. They feel like they're not just being given charity, but they are actually striving to build, to pay for their home, to pay their mortgage. But it cost them so much to do that because these people were unbanked. And so they would either have to force them to travel to go pay somewhere, or actually hire somebody that just went around and was collecting $30 every month. And it's, mortgages are something that go on for 10, 15 years. And so he said a lot of times the overhead of just doing that would eat up a lot of what they were actually paying. Yeah. So for them to be able to have that all just super simple and clean, and just the record keeping of it. If you got people out on muddy roads trying to
take a screenshot of a receipt,
mark who's paid or this,
send it on WhatsApp.
Yeah. So now they nope, we have a record of everybody that's paid. It's all available for anybody to be able to audit and see. It's just,
and the flow is so much easy.
Now that you mentioned that, we're also working, and this is a very special thing for us, because when a family has to go to the bank, make a line and all that stuff, and they take a picture of the receipt, they send it through WhatsApp to the other person. The other person see the picture and then goes to an Excel file, get a screenshot, send it again on WhatsApp. So the person, okay, I have my document that says that I have paid, right? So, and then I have lost my cell phone. I don't have any receipts, and then I'm gone, and I'm that. So we are working on a platform where people can receive their statements right away, and this is through all the data that we are receiving from Bitriffle, our friends, right? And then seconds.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's a great example too.
Otherwise, we will have to wait for the bank. Okay, could you please send me, the file?
Especially here, having to wait.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but it's
sounds
sad but
painful.
true. Yeah.
Multiply that by 100 families.
Yeah. Well, I love too. I mean, this is something that can be used not just in the nonprofit space, but just in the housing space in general to bring costs down by making things just more efficient. So usually it's things are innovated in the for-profit, and then they go to nonprofit. They're the ones leading the charge with that, with your guys' help, to actually innovate in this.
Well, it's interesting. All three of what we're doing, Bitcoin Beach, New Story, Coinbase, we're all holding the mantle in one way or another, either in El Salvador or in housing the unhoused, in defending Bitcoin in the broader ecosystem in the global market with just adoption and regulators and whatnot. So
yeah, you guys have been stepping up lately and going to battle there. I love it.
It actually has been a really big unifying moment for most of everyone that works at Coinbase, given the focus of getting to the goal, trying to do something big and difficult but meaningful. We've got a goal to have 1 billion users on the platform, and that really means
1 billion users.
That's our our goal.
Where are you guys at now? Do you know?
I don't know.
That's public.
I don't know what the numbers are, but it's really driving home that this isn't like an investment class ecosystem, right? Bitcoin can be an asset class no matter your economic level. You can use it from having your first time home or a private room or whatever that may be to that investment class, and that Bitcoin can be the primary thread that stays with you.
And I do know some stats off the top on like some US adoption. So I want to say 57 million Americans own or have used digital assets in their life. And I think that's more than people who have used like rideshare platforms, for example. So there might be this conception that it's just an investable asset and this and that. But these 57 million people haven't used it just by accident. There's something there. They're responding to something a lot deeper. And they represent a much larger percentage of the population than that you might think off the top of your head. So obviously Bitcoin leading the charge there. And I think just in years to come, we're going to see adoption continue to ramp up. And Bitcoin Beach and this circular economy is one of like the most amazing models that you can probably present out there for other nations that are looking to find a blueprint for adoption and figure out what are the key ingredients there, right? You need pioneers, you need kind of like a community aspect, which I think is still like one of the key ingredients. And then you also need like that circular economy piece.
And I love how it's come out of El Salvador. Like this is where the innovation is happening. It's coming from here, going to other places. And we've seen just with the circular economy focus, all these other projects. When I was telling you about in South Africa, there's one in Brazil. And now I can't even keep track of them. They're just like multiplying exponentially. And so it's great to see those start. And then I would love to see the housing aspect kind of follow also. So that's you guys got to be ready to scale up here.
Where should we go?
We're ready.
I think the one in South Africa is next.
We were talking about that today. So
hopefully next time.
Hey, there's the Adopting Bitcoin conference in South Africa this year. So I think you guys need to put that on your schedule.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should.
So, and it's in Cape Town. That's a horrible place to have to be for the week. So.
I know, especially for a surfer, right? That would be really tough. Actually, South Africa is kind of what opened my eyes to the future and potential of digital money. Back in 2014, I was studying abroad there. Originally, I was working on a water research project, and they were trending towards day zero. Where the municipality would have a huge struggle in providing the community with water. We had built this app to help educate the community about water resource management. All of that is somewhat unrelated to Bitcoin until I actually stepped into some of the townships and I was able to observe the leapfrog from, to a digital infrastructure. Every person had a cell phone in their hand. And if you think about it now, if you have a cell phone, you can have a Bitcoin wallet, and that equals financial inclusion. So they're in the same way that they leapfrog the phone and landline and that physical infrastructure for telecommunications and just jump straight to a cell phone in every person's hand. I think you can see a similar type of model where they jump straight to financial inclusion on your cell phone.
No, it's otherwise it wouldn't be possible for a lot of these things to happen because a lot of these people don't make enough money for banks and other institutions to even be interested in serving them. And so it takes something like Bitcoin that doesn't have any barriers to entry that everybody can kind of participate in. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Machankura. It's like the project to be able to send sats using a feature phone. So that's something that's come out of Africa. Yes. So the founder of that, KG, was born and raised in South Africa in one of the townships and developed this platform that you don't even have to have a smartphone anymore. Even with a old school dumb phone, people are making lightning payments back and forth. And so it's amazing to see this innovation coming out of the global South, and it's not being like pushed down from the US, but it's being, it's kind of rising up.
You made a good point too, which is it's just not profitable sometimes for these bigger financial institutions to get into these either lower income or developing communities. And so if you've got a way to bring economic freedom that the only barrier is the individual's ability to put in that time to learn and adopt Bitcoin or adopt the understanding of how everything works, and you multiply that in models like what you're doing here in Bitcoin Beach, and you don't need a financial institution to invest and bank these communities. It's just within their own control. And I think that unlocking that recognition that it's something that you can already do and it's in your power to do that, I think is really exciting to see.
And we've been seeing that as these communities sprout up, a lot of them, with virtually no resources, but they're like, hey, we're going to take one step at a time. And then people hear about it and want to pour into it. And it kind of, just this starts this fire that just keeps growing. So we love to see that. And I like you said, I don't think it's not that, the banks haven't figured out how to bring everybody on. It's just they're never going to, because it's not going to be profitable for them. So we need to figure out how to serve the majority of the world that's been locked out of the system.
Yeah, that's a great point. And last point on this is that I think El Salvador is actually an amazing country to do projects like this, because if you look at the stats and you look at the money behind all of this, I want to say 27% of the national GDP is imported through remittances. So El Salvador represents a huge remittance corridor, and the fees that these companies
$400 million.
$400 million. And then if you look at the clientele who supports that $400
million in fees.
Yeah.
In fees.
Yeah. From the poorest in the community.
From the poorest. Yeah. For the right to get your money in 3 days and pay $5 to send it, and have the recipient have to go, travel an hour or two to the bank in order to receive it. And we have the tools on the table right now to help alleviate that problem and make that frictionless and truly peer-to-peer. And I think it's powerful that we're starting to see people adopt it more and more, because the fact that there's a $400 million, remittance market that's built on top of this is crazy. And
I think it's like 6 billion or 6 or 7 billion in remittances and 400 million that's siphoned off in fees. And so
and that's just official remittances.
Yeah.
There's a lot of back channeling that happens too.
Yeah.
So.
And if a tiny country, there's, 6 million people that actually live in El Salvador?
6 point.
Yeah. So that's a huge impact on those families if that money can remain in their pockets.
Exactly. That gets returned to those families in this economy. And, Mike, when I send you an email, it gets sent instantly, indiscriminately, and it comes out completely whole. And there's no reason that money can't be the same, right? Like, it can send it to anyone instantly, and it should be there for a very low cost in a very quick time.
Have you sent any wires lately?
That's such a precarious question.
I mean, I mention it because I've had to send some wires for different things, and you're like, I can't believe we're still doing this.
Sending a wire is actually scarier than sending Bitcoin.
Because you don't know where it goes. It's
you're not sure.
There's no confirmation number. There's no nothing. They're like, we sent it, and you're like, well, they haven't got it.
Did you put the right numbers in the memo? It's like, oh gosh, if I didn't, is it going to go to the wrong bank account?
Where is it? And it's.
But today is Friday, so call us on Monday, and we'll see if it worked.
What do they charge you? Because they charge me $25.
I think it's either 25 or 35, depending on the.
I just want to make sure I'm getting the best rate.
So but the worst part is just like, you're like, in this day and age, are we really doing it like this? Like, are you guys, getting the Wells Fargo like stagecoach here to like take it? It'll be held. Sometimes it'll get held up for a week, and you're like you said, they can't tell you. They're like, well, we don't have it, and they're like, well, we don't have it. You're like, well,
it's still getting
where
settled.
Does it go?
3 to 5 business days.
So I think the fact that we have these tools. But the great part is now we're seeing the people that are usually excluded from the system, they're getting first access to it. The way that the people in this housing project are paying, they're accessing this payment system before the wealthy people in the US are. They're still in line waiting to send their wire. So I love that.
Me too. Obviously my dream is that like Bitcoin has the opportunity to plant seeds all across the world, and that like these communities kind of grow, because the rising tide lifts all boats, but only the boats that are in the water. So like the whole goal is to democratize access as effectively, as responsibly as possible.
Definitely.
We're even just thinking about the community of surfers globally, and how that's been a big movement for adopting Bitcoin. And as I was thinking about it, it makes perfect sense. You know, you fly
if you go
Portugal to surf,
anywhere,
you go to Africa to surf, you go all over the world, and when you go there, you want some familiarity, some community, maybe a similar currency to use. And so it made a lot of sense as we're talking to folks here and just getting a feel for how everyone's using it.
Yeah, you need those trailblazers. It's very interesting if you look at how surfing, even though it's not a huge sport, it has actually helped numerous countries develop, because the surfers will go someplace that nobody else wants to go to just because there's waves there. And then little hostels prop up to service them. And then they're like, oh, there's people coming, so there'll be nicer ones. So a lot of countries have developed just along surfing. And you look now, and it's just a small minority of their customers are surfers, but they were kind of the groundbreakers. And so I think we can see that same thing happen with Bitcoiners kind of going out throughout the world and kind of being the groundbreakers there. So that's why I love seeing it happen in South Africa and Brazil and all these different places that I've had the privilege to kind of go visit this last year. So we're going to definitely connect you guys with Arman and Bitcoin Akasi there in South Africa, because what they're doing is amazing. Hopefully you can get there for the conference.
I'll be there.
All right. All right. We'll let them know you're coming. So is there, what else are you guys excited about, but without making any promises to anybody out there, but what type of projects are you guys looking, kind of going forward to hope to get behind?
So on the giving side, or
or just in general. In general.
I mean, I can speak just more generally.
Yeah.
The past year or two, as everyone knows, has been difficult for any company in the Bitcoin space. And so again, it's kind of repeating what I said before, is we really have felt that commitment to holding the mantle for the market. And one thing we're really focused on is establishing globally what markets we really want to fortify for the next bull run, and then also how do we do a better job being prepared operationally from a support perspective to all of our users on the platform. And so that's it's exciting because we will have a chance to do it better in the next bull run. And so that recognition, the preparation, the market entries we're making now across the world, that's just really exciting, because I think we're laying down the right foundations to be prepared to just really do an outstanding job when the next bull run comes.
You guys have been through a couple cycles now. You know what's coming.
That's right, and it showed when the market fell through. We've gone through these cycles before, so a lot of other companies that we're servicing in similar manners, either went under, mismanaged funds, made some mistakes that who knows may have been if made in earlier, in late 2000s, early teens, would have been able to survive. But because they got in the game not late, but later than we had, they were going through those learnings and maturing in that moment, that it showed and ultimately kind of broke their operating model. So
they get a little too aggressive in the up cycle, and then too pessimistic in the down cycle.
Do you watch that Fear and Greed Index a lot?
Yeah.
Obviously not our first winter.
Not your first rodeo.
Not our first rodeo at all.
So I'm curious, just on a personal note, what did your wife think, being Salvadoran? What did she think when the announcement came out that El Salvador was adopting Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, there is so much pride in Salvadorians that are outside of El Salvador, of their culture, of their heritage, of their country. I've never been shown as many videos and pictures and stories and tweets on what El Salvador is doing, and especially on adopting Bitcoin, and all the technology partnerships that are happening even real time now. And so she's excited. Her family is. My brother-in-law is really big into the ecosystem along with Bitcoin, and so that's been they're super proud, and it's giving them a whole new kind of. It's actually very interesting, just like news story with building with the homes and giving these children and families a new sense of what your future could look like. That same mindset I'm finding is shifting in a lot of Salvadorians, at least in my community up in the U.S. in the DC area, where it's like they're proud and they're excited.
And that wasn't always the case 10 years ago. That you didn't have that at all.
Yeah. You were asked like where would you be from, and they'll once they would say El Salvador, they'd caveat that, well, we're from this part, or our area's safe, or the country's safe. They'd feel a need to kind of defend that. Now they're just so pumped that El Salvador is on this trajectory, and not only with adopting Bitcoin, but a lot of the really positive momentum that's paired with that decision.
Yeah, there's just in general a lot of excitement. Every time I fly somewhere else and come back, there's people that are like, yeah, I haven't been here for 20 years, but I'm coming home. I'm going to buy a property here. You see this just kind of excitement. So is your wife, has she applied to get her her passport here yet? I think they have a program for
they do. We still have to pay the $12 when we land, but we're looking into that.
But I think I know they were doing something even in the US that you could go through I think it was the consulate in El Salvador or in, I don't know which was in DC, one of them where you could get your Dewey and you could get your was in DC, so you could get you could get your Salvadoran passport if you could prove you had that heritage. So
that's
she'll have to look into that.
That's definitely on our list. We're 15 minutes outside of the city, so yeah.
I have one more year of residency I need before I can apply for my Salvadoran passport. That's what I'm told. So I'm hoping I'm able to achieve that next year. But your wife, she could do it now.
Yeah,
so,
that's right. We've got little kids too that benefit from that. Yeah.
You want to jump on that? I think it's going to be one of the most desired passports in the world. So
that's awesome.
Don't miss that. Don't miss that boat.
Yeah. Next time I see you, I'll have to let you know that we've got it.
All right.
We've got the passport.
Anything else you want to say about what News Story is doing? Did we miss anything here?
No, we're good. Maybe I want to say thank you guys for coming down. Thank you for getting your shoes dirty and get sweaty with us, because we are visiting almost every project that we have here. And thank you for your help, for everything you, Darin, has been doing for the last year. And yes, we're on behalf of News Story, thank you very much.
Yeah, and on behalf of CoinBase, thank you, Renato, for being such an amazing leader. Mike as well. Like, this whole movement has been so powerful. You were alluding to before, like, this has been magnetic for the country of El Salvador. And the photo that we have here is actually from the celebration on National Bitcoin Day. Obviously, we were super excited to have the opportunity to meet the Minister of Tourism.
She is amazing.
Phenomenal.
Oh my gosh. She works so harder than anybody I know.
She was just a joy to talk to as well. Like, I felt energized.
She's always just like, I'm like, how do you be so happy all the time? You're like, and she'll be working late at night and doing all the, I'm like, you must work like 100 hours a week.
Yeah, we chatted for a little bit, talked about some surfing. She pulled out that tweet from
Kelly Slater.
That was big time. That's big time. So thank you all for being such amazing partners. Like, we're really lucky to be working with you on such an important issue. Obviously, like, the platform that you have, Mike, can help share more information about this, and hopefully it sparks more and more pioneers out there to think about Bitcoin in this way and to be responsible architects with this tool that we have on the table. So looking forward to more of this. We'll talk more about South Africa.
Yeah.
Are you guys on Twitter if people want to follow you or follow what you're doing? Or I'm not sure how active you are. If you want to throw out your Twitter handle.
Crypto Twitter is amazing. So you can find me at Dare Carter, DARE_Carter. And I have a bigger presence on LinkedIn. So, Darin Carter on LinkedIn. And then Amir, how do we follow you?
That would be mainly.
He said crypto, so we're gonna
He
have
did?
to. We're gonna have to.
Yeah.
So okay, but in context,
It's Bitcoin
Sorry,
Twitter, Bitcoin
sorry.
Twitter, not crypto
Yeah.
Twitter. So go ahead.
I'm doing so good.
You're doing really good.
You made it to
You're
the
doing
very
good.
end.
Less so Twitter, more so LinkedIn.
Okay.
And so if you just in the LinkedIn URL type in Amir Edjlali, Amir, and then last name is spelled Edjlali.
I'm glad I didn't have to pronounce that during
I
the show.
had warned you earlier, so I'm glad you didn't either.
Nice.
And then is there? I know. I don't know if there's like an official way people can follow like the different projects that are happening. Is there a Coinbase Giving website or anything like that? Or
Actually,
is there...
the best way to follow what I'm up to now. So now I work on our U.S. policy team on the community engagement side. We had helped steward the launch of the Stand With Crypto movement, and now it's its own independent alliance, Stand With Crypto. So you can go to standwithcrypto.org to learn more about
that one will give you a pass on. It will be a
It was
cast on
3 times.
crypto.
It was 3 times.
Oh, I'm gonna go broke.
But,
I'm gonna go broke.
Stan, he, you know, it was part of
This
the
is
name. He
it's
had
a
to
proper
give it.
title.
Yeah,
It's a proper title.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you the stats later, and we can prove it to the audience. And then Amir, is there somewhere else? I mean,
No,
that'd be
I
so
would
cool.
agree. Standwithcrypto.org is our main engagement with the community on
Okay.
everything we're trying to do. And that's probably the best place to know what we're up to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So when are you guys coming back?
Thankfully, you have a trip already planned.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah, for
I'll
Adopting
be.
Bitcoin, you're coming.
Yeah, I'll be back here.
Oh, that's right. You're going to speak.
Crypto.
So
Yeah.
everybody who's coming to Adopting Bitcoin, make sure you say hi to him and go watch his session.
That's right. Thanks, Mike.
Do you know what you're talking on yet?
So yeah, the main topic I'll be presenting on is essentially preparing for the next bull run. Again, Coinbase, I would say unique to many of the other players in the market, sustained a very difficult winter that we're also going through. And all those learnings, and again, that came through our maturity, just trying to share some of that with the broader organizations that will be at Adopting Bitcoin, what has been some lesson learned for us, what we think preparing for the next bull run is without, with also recognizing the ebb and flows. And so really excited to deliver that. And also hear Renato talk. I'm assuming you're also going to be talking.
There.
So yeah,
I don't know what I'm speaking on yet, but I saw him on the speaker list there. So
yeah, I'm excited to be there too and see you guys again. So I'll be back in a couple months.
And Renato,
Well,
where
You're coming back.
I'm coming back. It sounds like I had to come back
Yeah,
for Adopting
you have to come
Bitcoin. So
back.
I think that'll be my next, my next
it's
opportunity.
an amazing conference. You should come.
I'm excited
for
about it.
this.
I'm glad we got to come beforehand, obviously. And Amir, thank you so much for coming along as well. I definitely will be planning a trip back very soon. And I know Adopting Bitcoin is global, so we'll be around the world.
Awesome.
Cool.
Renato, where can people follow you?
Well, you can find me anywhere like hola, like hello in español. Hola, I am Renato. So Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
So hola, I am Renato.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about to follow what's happening here with News Story? Do they have a separate
Yes, they
thing,
can.
or
They
is
can.
that-
Yes, you can follow News Story like News Story Homes at News Story Homes. That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think that's a wrap. I mean, you guys did pretty good. You both just blew it once there. On the crypto. So you did a good job.
Not too bad.
And next time when you come back, we'll see if you can make it through the whole.
We'll tighten up for next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.